I'm Mama Tree, and I'm here with Shri Regina Lovespring, and we've been talking this morning about the experience that we share in being empaths. And when we just left off, I had gone through a list of some of the coping strategies. And from my own experience was that I spent 15 years working in a federal agency, and the profession I was in is called organization development. It's basically helping individuals and teams grow into the best version of themselves and work together to solve problems or implement a new policy or get stuff done or whatever. So I spent a lot of time working on teams and helping other groups of people work better together as teams. And that experience helped me learn a lot about my skills as an empath and how to work through some processes that I think are going to be useful to the people who are tuning in. So I want to show you this diagram. There's a man who is a big part of the MIT Sloan School of Business. His name is Otto Scharmer, and he wrote this really amazing book called Presencing, as in the act of being so present that you can pull new things into the present. So being really connected in a conversation, we can birth new ideas. And when we're doing that well, that process is called presencing. And so there was this diagram that I'll show you that really made a lot of sense to me. So this little dot represents the location of your consciousness, and this circle represents your boundary. And probably your consciousness is usually inside of you, inside your flesh somewhere. And your boundary in this case is your skin, or maybe a little further out somewhere in your aura. That's up to you and how you're choosing to be in yourself. So the most people in groups or around the world are just living at this level 1. I'm inside myself. Why wouldn't I be inside myself? That's totally weird. Of course, I'm inside myself, being me, and when we're trying to talk to each other, I'm only hearing you through this layer of thickness right here that's me, my filters, my stuff. I don't actually hear everything you're saying when I'm listening at level 1, because I'm taking what you're saying and I'm comparing it to what I already know. And I'm hitting you with new information right now, so you're probably doing that too. Do you want to reflect on that at all before I move on?
I don't have anything to say about that.
Okay. So level 2 listening, according to Otto Scharmer, is this little dot is right on the edge of the boundary. So you just said something that piqued my interest, and I really want to pay attention. I'm going to push aside my own mental chatter, and I'm going to really try to focus on what you're saying. What does she really mean by that? So the location of my consciousness is right on the edge of the boundary of what I consider me. And I'm especially going to be in level 2 if I disagree with you, because it's going to take a lot of focus and attention if I'm going to win. And I like to win. Okay, now then there's level 3 listening. And in level 3 listening, the boundary is a dotted circle. And the location of consciousness is somewhere else. And Otto Scharmer calls this level I in you. And that's empathetic listening. So the reason I think this model matters to empaths is because I think we kind of walk around in this state all the time, unless we've got some practice to change the location of our consciousness, that we're actually so open that I can sense your emotions just by being in the same field as you. And when I say field, I'm not talking about career field. I mean the energy field, or like Rupert Sheldrake calls it, the morphogenic field. So I'm sitting really close to Regina right now. We're definitely in the same field. She can probably smell me, and hopefully that's not offensive.
That's awesome. I approve.
um, so I think, again, that empaths are in level 3 all the time. Now, level 4 is something else, something really awesome that you've probably experienced. So you see, again, the boundaries of self are open. But the location of consciousness is both inside and outside. If I somehow can practice what Otto Scharmer calls presencing, being so present and harnessing my empathy and understanding what I truly feel and what you feel and what's happening in the environment, that I can actually be participating in what he calls generative dialogue. And dialogue, because in his world, this is about people talking to each other to try to work together. But this kind of creative space happens in art and dance and sports and all sorts of places. So it's called generative because we're so present that we can actually create space for the future to emerge, for knowledge to emerge. We can create together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this morning when Regina and I first got together, we created an altar together. And we didn't film this because this was kind of a more tender and personal kind of a sharing, in which I asked her to envision that she and I were in a circle together. And after we created the altar, we sat together, pictured ourselves inside of a circle together. And then I asked her to do what I call a check-in question. And the first question was, how do I feel right now? I answered how I felt. She answered how she felt. Then we went a little bit deeper inside of our connection, and we talked about what attracted us to be together in that moment in time. And so, again, we shared what that was for each of us. And we went even a little deeper, I think, was the third question. And the purpose of that was for us to arrive in the present moment together with a shared emotional state, potentially, and a shared intention and a shared awareness of what was going on. Is there anything about that experience that you want to reflect on?
Sure. So when I arrived here, it was a chaotic day. That was yesterday. Well, not exactly chaotic, just busy and full, much more full than I would prefer, and sort of feeling, like a little less present, a little less energized, a little less focused, because there had been so much going on and I didn't really have enough time to, do all of those things, like be in solitude and reflect and ground and all of that. However, this practice this morning really brought it all back into focus for me, and I really appreciated that whole experience. It was like we started, at the surface and just, as you said, kept getting a little deeper and deeper into the experience and just talking about what was going on with us personally, and it brought us together. It brought our intentions and our focus together, and I felt more grounded afterward. So yeah, it's a practice I really appreciated.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. So when I was using this professionally, the experience of becoming present together allowed us to arrive at a place with a specific task, because it's in the professional world, and to be able to leave behind the other distractions and really focus on this task that we were collaborating to solve or whatever. And I began to realize through doing this that because I was an empath, I had sort of just a natural ability to pretty quickly get to level 3 listening, which, if you're looking at the diagram on the screen, that's the one where your consciousness is actually a little bit outside of what you would consider the boundary of yourself. And I learned in the first couple of years of working with this model and groups of people who are government employees that if I want to get your attention and to shift your consciousness so that the whole group has a shift together and then learns something together, that one way to get them to drop into level 3 was to tug at their heartstrings. So that's if you can get this group of people to feel the same emotion at the same time, then something happens and they shift. They drop into that level 3. The expression, my heart went out to you. No, so you already know this, but if I was in a group of people, and maybe some of the people watching the video don't know this, and I could, during the course of facilitating this work, if it fit in, I could mention how my son died 5 months ago. And the whole room, guaranteed, goes, and some people put their hands on their heart. And they're instantly experiencing a shared emotional vibration. Mm-hmm. And you already knew about it, but how does it feel just being hit with it right now?
I feel it.
Yeah. So there's that. Do you want to say something else?
Oh, just the beginnings of tears were starting, but you know, just a show of emotion.
Sure.
In the heart space, definitely in the heart space.
Yeah. Now, when we were talking about the coping mechanisms, it was not lost on me. I was pretty aware of the fact that I was trying to manipulate the emotional field in the room because I feel better if the field is within the range of emotions that I want to feel at a given time. So see, sometimes empaths can be kind of manipulative if we're really on our game.
Yeah, we know how to do all of that.
Right. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I was hired to produce certain outcomes, and I was successful in producing outcomes. I'm just letting you in on the behind the scenes of how I did that.